Hey guys, Mike here. You're looking at a Cold Steel catalog from spring of 2011. It's just one of my many catalogs. These are like a third of what I have. I like ordering catalogs because most companies will still send them to you for free. They take a long time to get to you though, anywhere from 2 weeks to like 2 months, usually how long they take. But it's awesome because sometimes you're just in the car, you want something to flip through. You know, I always have my laptop with me, like always. I'm going somewhere, whether it be school, work, whatever, I always have my laptop in the car. But my laptop will usually die pretty quick, about an hour to an hour and a half, because I have a really, I have the best processor on the market right now, and that thing just eats power. So I really like having these on me sometimes when I get bored. Yeah, sometimes I have to take my mom to a doctor's appointment or something like that. I have this to look at. And when I got this, you get 2 DVDs with it too. One of them is just all their folding knives, and they show all those tests that they put them through. And they have every single knife. I mean, honestly, one of the DVDs is like 3.5 hours to watch. And the other one's all their swords and machetes and stuff like that. You know, the Gurkha Kukri, all that, special order type stuff is on another DVD. And those both came free with this catalog. It's pretty awesome. If you want one of these, just go on coldsteel.com. You have to find it. It's in small print, either at the top or the bottom of the page somewhere. But you just find it, do a catalog request, and this will be at your house within a couple months. This one did take quite a while. But ever since I had one of these, I have been dreaming about getting one of these. Cold Steel SRK or Cold Steel Recon Tanto. I have no idea how you say that. I know some guys say Tanto, some guys say Tano. I know that Cold Steel on the DVDs that I received with this catalog, they call them Tanto. Recon Tanto. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to call it that. I'm not sure which one I want yet. They're basically almost the same thing, just, you know, the shape of the blade is a little bit different. I love Tano knives. I've been carrying them for a while. Not Cold Steel, but Smith & Wesson knives. I'll show off a couple of my usual carry knives here in a second. But I really want one of these. They're kind of pricey, and they've gone up in price a little bit. This time this catalog is listed at $100 for each. But they do come with an awesome Kydex sheath, which would be really good if you have like a Molly vest, something like that. But this isn't something you'd carry every day. This is more of a survival knife. That's exactly what SRK stands for, Survival and Rescue Knife. But a few days ago, I was presented with the opportunity to either buy a Recon 1 or a Spartan. And after talking to Tom from Weapons Education on the phone, I determined that I was going to get the Spartan, and I bought it directly from Tom. And, you know, Tom sells all sorts of Cold Steel knives through the Armory Express outlet. So if you guys want to go ahead and get an awesome knife, just go to the Armory Express outlet. I have a link to the Armory Express outlet right in the description of this page. But Tom was selling some knives at blowout prices a few days ago. And so I went ahead and I messaged him. He gave me a call. We talked about it on the phone, and I bought the Spartan from him for an awesome price. I'm not sure if he's still having that sale or not. There's also going to be a link in the description to that video. If you haven't had a Cold Steel knife before, I would highly recommend you watch that video. He does talk about how to lubricate the triad lock and a few other things. So I'd highly recommend you go ahead and watch that video, and then just follow Tom's instructions at the end of the video if you want to buy one of these. And I got mine today, finally. Columbus Day kind of screwed up shipping. It still shipped real quick, it's just Tom had to wait to ship it to me. That was a problem. Tom sent it on Tuesday morning. Here it is Thursday afternoon. I already have it. Here's the box to it. Nothing special at all. Cheap box for such an awesome knife, but here's the knife. First thing is first, I have to say how extremely shocked I am at how big this thing is. This thing is huge. Let me show you. This was one of my favorite knives to carry back in the day. It's a Smith & Wesson Extreme Ops, and until my dad broke it. What he was doing is he was cutting, and there's my dad calling me. I'll give him a call back when I'm done with this video. But what the problem was is that he was trying to cut a zip tie, and it was 2 pieces of metal were zip tied together, and he stuck this knife in between the zip tie and the metal to cut it. But for some reason he wasn't thinking, and rather than cutting this way with the blade, he was trying to pry, and he pried it and he broke the tip of the blade off. Hey guys, sorry about that. Bill Clinton called me. Wanted to remind my dad how important it was to vote in the Teamsters election that's coming up. You know, and I asked him, like, hey, Bill, are you sleeping with Monica again now that Hillary's Secretary of State and she doesn't have time for you anymore? He didn't answer me. He just kept talking about the election, how important it was. Alright guys, I wanted to go ahead and I just wanted to show the size difference between the Spartan and the knives I used to carry. As I mentioned, my dad broke this Extreme Ops that I had. Well, after he broke that Extreme Ops, I started carrying this Smith & Wesson Special Tactical. It's an awesome blade. Real cheap, $15 for this at Tractor Supply Company. About the same if you go to like AutoZone or something, they usually sell these. Smith & Wesson Special Tactical. There's the Smith & Wesson logo right there inside the handle there. It's real nice. Let me clarify something real quick. When they say Smith & Wesson, they don't mean the same, you know, these are not made in the same place as they make Smith & Wesson M&Ps. It says right here on the box where you buy your Smith & Wesson. Manufactured by Taylor Brands LLC, made in China, figures. Smith & Wesson is a registered trademark of Smith & Wesson Corp., used under license by Taylor Brands LLC. It says that right there on the packaging. So this is actually made by a company called Taylor Brands. They just go ahead and they slap the Smith & Wesson logo on them because, believe it or not, almost everybody thinks that these are actually made by Smith & Wesson. I knew right from the start that Smith & Wesson probably wouldn't be selling knives for $15. But like I said, I do like these just because they're really cheap beater knives. You know, I take these to work. My parents own a cleaning company. I'll go and there'll be crap on the floor, gunk on the floor. If I don't have a floor scraper with me, which is what you usually use to get that gunk off, I'll just go ahead, pop my knife open real quick. This Tano blade is awesome for that. You have some gunk or something on the floor, you just take it, scrape it right off. And these, they don't hold an edge super well. Your edge will dull, but they're real easy to resharpen. And I love them. I mean, you can get quite a few months of use out of these. This one, unfortunately, what happened to it is the belt clip bent. That's not a big problem. I can go ahead and fix that. But what I really like is what Cold Steel did. They thought ahead, and they looked at the Spartan. They said, if anything on this blade is going to break, it's probably going to be the belt clip. I really like that belt clip is nice and small, too. You know, you don't need a big belt clip. If somebody looks at the side of your pants and they see, you know, just that little belt clip on there, they're thinking you have a little tiny pocket knife, something maybe like this on there. And then you pull out this monster. It's awesome. But they were thinking ahead in the fact that not only can you take these 3 screws out and reverse them to put them on the other side, you see those 3 screw holes right there, but they also include an extra belt clip and 3 extra screws with blue Loctite already on them for you in the box, which is awesome. Love that. Smith & Wesson, or if Taylor Brands LLC, I'm sorry, did that, that'd be really cool, but they don't. You get what you pay for. But like I said, I would not put this knife through half the tasks I put those knives through. I mean, I paid a decent amount of money for this. You know, this is $15. This was a lot more. I'm not going to take that knife and, you know, scrape the floor with it and do all these utilitarian tasks to scratch it up. It just has a nice look and finish to it. Love it. It's really sharp, too. I mean, it's just beautiful. Let's take this back cover of this thing right here and just take the knife to it real quick. Not as sharp as I would have thought. It had some problems catching it, but when it caught it, it sheared the paper right up. But yeah, one of the problems that I've been having with Cold Steel is I think they're a little overhyped. If you guys have ever seen any of those videos where they put their knives through all their testing, honestly I think it's a hype, and I'll tell you why. There was an episode of The Deadliest Warrior where it was Navy SEALs versus Israeli Commandos, and I don't know why, but the Navy SEALs had 2 different Cold Steel knives, but they could only administer one for testing. And they didn't even mention the other one. You could just see it on a table. At the beginning of every episode, they show both pairs of guys. They have a big table, and they have all their guns and all their equipment on there. Well, when they showed the Navy SEAL table, I could see that they had a Cold Steel SRK and a Recon 1. Cold Steel SRK, I can absolutely see that being the Navy SEAL knife, and actually I believe it has. A lot of people still think that the SOG SEAL Team Elite and the SEAL Pup are the standard knives of the Navy SEALs. Not exactly, no. It's actually the Cold Steel SRK now, I believe, is what's issued to them during BUDS training, which is their basic underwater demolition training, which is like the first thing you take if you want to be a Navy SEAL. And they had that, and they had a Recon 1. But for some reason, during testing, the Israeli commandos used the K-bar, a K-bar fixed blade knife, and then the Navy SEALs went with the Recon 1, which I just could not understand. Even the Israeli commando said, I don't understand why you guys are using a folding knife, which made sense to me. Why would you be using a folding knife? Nevertheless, they submitted it for testing, and they had a ballistic gel torso, which for those of you guys who don't watch the show, it's made out of ballistics gel and all sorts of other little gel components, foam and stuff like that. And it's made to simulate real human tissue, has a very similar texture and whatnot, thickness. And the Navy SEAL, he went crazy on it. He just started cutting into the stomach, into the chest, and then he just went crazy with the circular motion like this, with the Recon 1, and he kept going for the neck. And he basically cut the neck off the guy. I mean, go ahead and feel your neck. I mean, how, you have some hard parts. Basically, it's just your spine back there. Everything is decently soft enough for this to cut right through. But then, when he's done cutting, he pulls out the Recon 1, and for a split second on the frame, in that frame, you could see at the actual tip of the Recon 1 broke off. And they never show the knife again, because they don't want to show that it actually broke. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and I want to throw this knife into some testing of my own. I'm not going to get crazy. I'm not going to split wood with this, because it is it's a folding knife. But something I really would like to do is I'd like to take a rack of ribs. I found an old rack of ribs that should have been cooked a while ago in the freezer. I'm thawing it out right now. I'm going to try to take this to a rack of ribs and see if it really will cut through the rack of ribs like they do show in some of these Cold Steel videos. I'd also like to take it and do a penetration test, take some old phone books, just to see how well it would penetrate. Say someone's wearing a thick leather jacket or something. How well that would penetrate a leather jacket or something like this. We'll see how far it goes into a phone book. And I'd also like to go ahead and do a water bottle test. A lot of guys do water bottle tests. This should be able to cut right through a water bottle like it's nothing. I ran these, do that same exact test. They had no problems. Even my dad's knives, I do buy my dad knives, except that he sometimes carries them, sometimes he doesn't. But when I go out and I buy a knife for my dad, I buy him something like this. It's an Ozark Trail knife. He really likes it. $7 at Walmart. That way if he breaks them, because he does. He busted the belt clip right off of this one. When he breaks them, it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to do that. Hopefully I can do it tonight. I mean, I kind of have the house to myself. Go out in the yard and do some stuff and be really cool. And I'll probably have the video up sometime this weekend. Alright guys, thanks for watching. As I said, if you want to go ahead and get one of these awesome knives, go ahead and watch that video from Tom at Weapons Education. Or go ahead and just check out the Armory Express outlet. They got a bunch of awesome stuff there. Flashlights, holsters, Weapons Education shirts, which are awesome by the way. I have one right now, I'm wearing it. Really awesome colors, real bright. They have them in all sorts of sizes, big enough to fit my fat ass, so I'm sure they'll find some that'll fit your ass. Alright guys, take it easy. Please subscribe and rate if you haven't already done so.